So my name is Carol Winningslow. I'm the nurse manager for the Center for Life Choices, serving in both the Ukiah and the Clear Lake site. I've been with the clinic for many years, since before it was even a clinic, starting with being on the board. So I graduated nursing school back in the 60s, and I unfortunately bought into the lie that life did not begin at conception. And I credit two dear women, Maggie Williamson and Linda Brawley, with taking me aside and helping me see God's will and God's understanding. At the time, the center was a not medical clinic. Women who were concerned would come in and do their own pregnancy test, and then they would sit down with counselors who would help them to see that they were capable of being moms, and just giving them encouragement, giving them compassion, giving them resources of what we had at the time. And part of being a board member, they asked me to go through the training that the counselors went through. So by this time, I had been a nurse for quite a few years, had interviewed a lot of people, had, counseled a lot of patients in different facilities and under different roles. And every time I went through a setup process for this training to help me learn how to best counsel a patient, I failed. Every time they said, no, you shouldn't say it that way. And so it was quite discouraging. I was glad I was on the board and not, becoming a counselor. And so many years later then, when I had retired from my work at the county, and I really wanted to come and work at the center as a nurse, but I was a little hesitant afraid that maybe I would still not be able to say things in the right way. So I was very reassured to know that we now have a script and that we were able to counsel people in the same way. We have guidelines that help us to meet their needs and to treat each patient in the same way through this script, which helps us keep on track. So I was not part of the center when it first opened. I was still working for the County of Mendocino, and I was a nurse, but I was also in an administrative position. So when I started with the center, it was as a staff nurse. And in many ways, I felt like we were pretty much ignored. Some people would come from advertising. Many came because of how they were counseled by friends who had experienced our services. And so when we started the clinic here in Clear Lake, I got a better position. There was many hoops that we had to go through with the planning council, and I could feel that people were not really happy for us being here. People who came from a different point of view were a little hesitant to give us the go-ahead, but God prevailed. We had a great turnout, and I could see that the community of people who loved the Lord were very, very much on our side. When we first started, we were pretty bare bones. We started with an ultrasound that had been given to us by Focus on the Family, and we had a few things. Some of the equipment as we went along and developed and grew were hand-me-downs. And one was ancient enough that we had to reprogram it every time we turned it on. And so now we have been able, because of the generosity of our donors, we have been able to add things. We are able to now give her a first month's of vitamins and explain to her why they're important. We've been able to add STD testing, and so we can test for chlamydia and gonorrhea to make sure that if she does choose abortion, that she at least has the information to know that she can do it without severe infection. And it's just been exciting to see how things have grown. And because of the donors, those who have supported us. We have now been able to open a second site in Clear Lake. And so that's really exciting. I think my first memorable story was working with a woman who was very abortion-minded. She just felt trapped. She didn't want to be there. And as I started to do the ultrasound, it was very obvious that she was pregnant with twins. And to see her change, there is just something magical about seeing those twins in her, within her, that changed her mind. And she got quite excited, and that was thrilling.